Hello and welcome to the, what am I doing? I don't know. I'm doing a preview show. So that's right. Preview of Super Rugby Round 12. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your favourite place for rugby predictions and opinion. And we'll be running through all of the games tonight. And when I say we, it's we because I have my wonderful mate over from Australia. Hi, Shane. How are you doing?
Not too bad, Paul. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you got the Wallaby cap on and not masquerading as somebody you're not this week. So yes,
keeping it real, Paul.
Keeping it real. I'm not sure about the Hawaiian shirt, whether how that fits in with keeping it real, but there you go. I'm keeping it real with having as many layers as possible because I'm cold. So that's my route. Anyway, we kick off the weekend with the Chiefs hosting the Jaguares, and looking at the Chiefs, a player that you've been looking forward to watching, Brodie Retallick, is going to be sitting in the stands this weekend.
I'm very disappointed about that. I was looking forward to seeing him play, but I understand that there's a bit of a policy they've got to be rested up. Is that right? A few weeks before Blacks tests. So
all the All Blacks players have got to be rested for 2 games prior to June. Now they can happen. It's up to the Super Rugby coaches which games they choose, and obviously, the Jaguares on the road historically has been one of those games where you'd be looking at resting 2 or 3 players, but that's not the case this time, is it? With the Jaguares have had a fantastic run on this tour.
They've won 3 in a row on their tour, and as I've worked out through the statistics, they're actually undefeated in Australia, which is something for our sides to build on for next year. But
for whatever
they've won all 4 games that they've played in Australia.
Wow, I didn't realise. Oh well, there you go, Mr. Superstat. Wow, the Jaguares have won all 4 of the games they've ever played in Australia. Whoa, that's a big. I have to go back and have a look at that. But cool. Yeah, no, as you say, yeah, definitely one for people to target next season. So which players are you looking forward to seeing in this game?
Will McKenzie for one. I really enjoy watching Damien McKenzie play, but I'm really interested in seeing how the Chiefs forward packs go without Retallick, because the Argentinians will play their mauling game close to the line, and I'm also interested to see if the Chiefs continue playing that square of the pitch running game, which allows for broken field to open up, and then you'll see a lot of line breaks from DMAC and passes to the inside or outside men to create chances. I think this is going to be my favourite game of the week.
That's a big call. Last week the Jaguares did keep it close, but that was a wet game. We'll have to see what happens this weekend. It's looking dry on Friday, I think. So I don't think we'll have the same. They'll have the same problems. Thomas Lavanini gets to start for the Jaguares. He's normally a penalty and card magnet, so we see how he keeps himself under control. And I was a bit surprised to see Tucolette as captain all the way back in 15, which means communication with the ref could be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, and I think one thing that Jaguares have got to really look out for is going to be their discipline. I think it's going to be a different game to the Blues. They're going to have to play a little bit more expansive, and when they're in defence, they can't afford to keep giving away penalties against the Chiefs, because you'll get some cards and you might get hurt.
Yeah, with Creevy on the bench and Matera missing, they're definitely losing some leadership in that front pack. On the flip side, we've got Sam Cane there for the Chiefs, who will be leading the way and provide leadership there. Interesting to see Triple T picked ahead of Webber on the bench still. I thought Brad Webber was going to become the 3rd choice All Blacks scrum half, so it's a bit of a surprise to see him being rested on the bench still.
Yeah, well, Triple T is pretty explosive. I would like to have seen Webber play as the starting halfback, but obviously I think it's the coach again, Colin Cooper, the Chiefs coach.
Yep.
is obviously structured a tactical breakthrough for his lads, and I think he knows what sort of game plan he's going to play for the 80 minutes. Really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, we've got DMAC back, and it's sorry, DMAC not back. DMAC playing. Charlie Nartai back at 15. Pulu on the wing, and there's definitely some attacking talent there. It's just need the forwards to give them the platform. I'm going Chiefs by 7. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a really good battle, but I think the Chiefs by about 10.
And we follow that one up then by the Rebels versus the Crusaders, and 4 changes in the starting forwards for the Rebels, which is quite a few. Perhaps putting some depth on the bench to make sure they can play the full 80.
Well, that's perhaps a luxury that the Rebels and their coach Dave Wessels have because of the amount of signings they'd made from last year. But I just think that the Crusaders' depth overall will see them pull through very easily. Genia is back, which is a plus. So maybe they'll start to play that expansive sort of game and try and counter-attack and punch through the line. But I'm just not quite convinced with the Rebels at the moment after their South African tour and losing to the Argentinians as well. They're a little bit on the decline at the moment. And Hayla Petty is still out too, which they'd probably like to have back soon as well.
Yeah, Hayla Petty is still out. Maddox is at least back at 15 after pulling out in the last game at the last minute. So he'll be there to field any kicks. And with Richie Moanga and Goodhue back, with Bridge also replacing Dag, that's a very potent Crusaders back line. There's no way we can talk about them being not as creative as normal, but with Richie Moanga back there, they've got all their tricks ready to play, haven't they?
Yeah, it just shows the depth and the quality of the depth that the New Zealand sides have, as well as the fact they've got the old warhorse and one of my favourite props, Wyatt Crockett, on the bench as well.
Not on the bench. He's starting.
Oh, he's starting. Sorry,
because of injury, he's starting. So there is.
What a useful starting prop to have! A very experienced All Black and Crusader, and nearly 200 games too.
He's getting that way, isn't he? Henry Allen is the only sort of weakish link I could find who is on the bench due to injury of 2 props in his position. So he's an inexperienced guy. So he came into the side a couple of weeks ago. But so I say he's the only sort of little minor weak link I could see potentially there, and yeah, that is minor. So I'm going Crusaders by 15. I can't see the Rebels keeping pace with them.
Yeah, I'm going to go Crusaders by 20 plus. I just think they have too much depth.
Oh, you're going big. Then I'm actually going to, if you're reading the notes, I'm going to skip around because I've got my order wrong. But next up, I think, is the Hurricanes versus the Lions. And why can't the Lions just announce their team on time? We've got no team news for them. That's just not fair, is it?
No, it's interesting. I think the South African sides usually announce their side, I think it's 24 hours before kickoff. So it's a bit of a different way of doing things. But
I suppose with 48 hours, and they normally do it kind of like Thursday midnight, which is fine for South African games because that is 48 hours ahead of time. But when you've got a New Zealand game, they do leave it a bit later than they should do, a bit naughty. So I wouldn't. Yeah, it doesn't help us in the kind of the I was going to say the press. We're hardly the press, are we? It doesn't help us little amateur pundits to know what's going on if they're not going to name their players. Obviously, Creel is announced he's off to Gloucester at the end of the season. So we'll have to see how much if that has any effect. And I can't see it really doing so. But just a little interesting side note, as I've got nothing else to say about the Lions, really, as we don't have their squad. And they are one of the better touring sides, so I expect so. But the big question is, which side's going to turn up? The one that beat the Waratahs or the one that got thrashed by the Reds for this game? Because if it's the one that played against the Reds, then they're in for a big hiding. if it's the ones that beat the Tars, then we could have a competitive game.
Well, that's the probably $1 million question, isn't it?
So let's talk about, as you say, there's not really much to say there. Let's talk about the Hurricanes side then. Arso dropped out of the 23.
What was that?
Arso has been dropped out of the 23. He's not named in the starting. He's not named in the squad.
Yeah. Why was that?
I think it's just they've got too many quality players, and he's being rested. I've put dropped in my notes as a with exclamation marks, but I think that's I say that was more joking than anything else. Yeah, and there's so he's Lamapi's back from injury, so it's Bowden Barrett, Lamapi and Proctor in the centres, Ben Lam and Julian Severe in the wings, and Geordie Barrett at fullback. So Naimel Scudder, Ohio West Naimel Scudder on the bench gives you your backs for that. So yeah, there's not a weak link in there at all.
Is Perenara back? TJ
Perenara is not back. So I was going to say the only weak link in the whole team is Finlay Christie at 9.
I was really impressed with his game against the Sunwolves, actually. I know it was a more basic game plan, perhaps, than what it's going to be against the Lions, because the Hurricanes will want to counter the Lions' attacking game by their own attacking game. But I think Finlay Christie, I like what I see so far. I think he's a confident young lad, and he's backed up well. He's got the Barrett brothers in support, so he'll go all right.
And then he's also got Jamie Booth will come off the bench, but it's whilst he's got the Barrett brothers there, what he really needs is a nice platform from Shields, Artie Severe, and Gareth Evans. So Gareth Evans, I've seen him have good halves of games. He needs to not fade during this one, because the Lions' loose trio are pretty formidable. So Gareth Evans needs to play the full 80 minutes. And Fafita's back in the locks as well, which I think Fafita's a wonderful player. I just don't think he's a 4. I think he's a 6. So it does depower their scrum a little bit, having him there, but it gives them lots of mobility around the park. So we'll have to see how that goes.
It's a big engine room. It's a big engine room they're playing. It
is. So it'll be interesting to see, come scrum time, how they stand up against the Lions. Because that's, if I was the Lions, that's where I'd be looking at. Any time there's a scrum, I'd be going for the full eight man push and see if I could put the Canes under a bit of pressure there. So I've gone in the end. I've gone Canes by 10. Yourself?
Going big here again, Paul.
Are you going big again? Oh dear.
Hurricanes by 20.
Hurricanes by 20. Wow, that's a big one. Andre says the Lions don't have a running 10, so the Canes should be okay. It's a bit harsh on Yanchis. I think Yanchis can
a little bit harsh, yeah.
Can run on time sometimes. We then head over to South Africa, and we have the Stormers versus the Bulls. No news on the Stormers lineup. But I guess the only thing I've got to say about them is basically they win all their home games and they lose all their away games so far this season.
And this game's been played at Newlands?
Yep.
So the Stormers will definitely show up in good spirits. But I've been really impressed with the Bulls. They've nearly beat the Highlanders last week. It only took a penalty after the siren for the Highlanders to get the points. And they've beaten the Hurricanes as well, and they've played pretty well in their derbies. So look out, Stormers. John Mitchell's lads, they're hungry. And
I've been pretty impressed by the Stormers as well, and by their young halfbacks playing very matured. So I think that I think we've got two good sides here. This is probably one of the better games. I think this is one of the better games of the round, personally. I know you're looking forward to the opening game, but this one to me is going to be the big one. I think Andre Warner's back to start at 9. That's his first. He played the first 4 games and got injured, and this is his first game back from that. And the other note is they've got 3 players bracketed, so they've got definitely injury question marks ahead of this game. So it's a matter of how much time of these players had to train with each other this week. I'm not so sure about that. So that'll be my only concern is last minute changes and how that messes around with the chemistry that we might have during this game.
Yeah. No, in agreement with you, Paul.
I'm going with so I'd say that I think it's one of the tightest ones. I'm going with the home team by 3. What about yourself?
I'm going to go with the Bulls by 3. I think they've really been impressive under John Mitchell, and they're looking for another big scalp this year, and I think they might take it.
Oh, a lot of people in the chat also backing the Bulls, and also Stormers. So a bit of a mix on this one. Everyone is going to be looking at it. Andre tells us this is the traditional biggest derby in South Africa. Always a fierce contest. I did read somewhere that it seems basically a north-south derby in South Africa. Then to round things off, the Sharks hosting the Highlanders. No news on either of these sides so far. But what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I think I love watching the Highlanders. There's something about them. It's a very they're a very potent outfit. They're also an outfit that plays until the 80th minute. The Sharks have done pretty well. Not much really to say. I think that the Highlanders will just probably have the depth, and I think we'll know more when the Sharks announce their lineup about what they're sort of wanting to play tactically. But I think the Highlanders will have their depth covered, and I think they'll win that one.
Yeah, I'm back at the Highlanders. I mean, Naholo is supposed to be back from injury, which is good. Earlier in the week, I thought I'd heard that Ben Smith and Aaron Smith are heading back to New Zealand for an All Blacks camp. But having a look on Facebook, I've seen their pictures in training with the Highlanders this week. So I think I was probably wrong about that. So I've only gone Highlanders by 3, but that was because I was unsure of the selection. I think actually, if they have got all their All Blacks there, then it could be bigger than that. What about yourself?
I'm going to go Highlanders by 10.
So those are our predictions for the rounds. We agree on most of them. I think it was just the Stormers, Bulls, or maybe also the Tars. We didn't go back and do the Tars Blues, did we? Sorry, guys. Jeez, I just realised I skipped over it because I had them in the wrong order, and I never went back to them. So let's go back to the Tars Blues. We haven't talked about that one yet. An interesting one, and I guess a lot of the sort of pre-match talk will be that Israel Folau is returning from injury. Will he have let the whole off-field stuff affect him or not coming into this game? But it's at least it's good to see him back playing and hopefully not talking.
Well, I mean, putting the off-field things to a side, I mean, people will agree or disagree with what he's said, and I won't go any further.
Yep.
But on that, in terms of a talent, he is the most prestigious talent. He's a wonderful player to watch. I think last year he was the best fullback in the game. Saw that with his try-scoring abilities and his running abilities. I don't know how he feels pressure-wise, but I was reading that they'd put Rona to the bench.
Yeah, Rona's gone to the bench, which surprised me.
That surprised me too.
Are you surprised to see Folau at 15? I thought that he'd been very good at 14 in the last couple of games before he got injured, and I'm a bit surprised he hasn't come back on the wing for this game.
To me, Folau is a natural fullback. I think he's also a good 13, and he's played pretty well when he was put there in the last couple of years. So I don't know. I mean, it's obviously a tactical decision to put Rona on the bench as well. I think that this is a critical game for both sides as well. You know, the Blues have so much potential, but there's so many times where they just don't reach that level of potential. The Waratahs are the same. They've got that many Wallabies in the side. They should have been competitive against the Lions. So both sides are coming off a few a loss in their last game. So I'm going to be fascinated here. Just who wants to take the points the most?
Yeah, it's interesting. They've picked a very fast, loose trio by the Tars, and I think that might be to counteract Akiri. We'll have to wait and see. But there's a lot of things we've said about the Blues, but I'm just going to read out a list of names here, so we can go through this. But we've got a Terry Black, Blake Gibson, Glenn Preston, Sonny Bill Williams, Alex Hodgman, Scott Scrafton, Milani Nanai, Matt Johnson, George Moala, TJ Fafina, Tamati Tau, Michael Collins, Afunga Tuafasi, Jimmy Topu, Josh Goodhue, and Isaac Solomon. 16 players there, and so that are on that were on the injured list and not considered for this. So there's got to be a little bit of slack given to Tranamanga about that, because that's that is a big list of injuries, and players such as obviously Sonny Bill Williams, Nanai, Moala, Michael Collins, all big misses in the backs. Tungafasi, who else? A quick look around there. Scrafton, etc. in the forwards as well. So there's a lot of. This is not a full strength Blues side by any stretch of the imagination. And we're seeing Duffy having to go back at 15, which I think is a waste of his talent. I think he's much better on the wing.
Better wing.
Rico Iwani having to play 12, again, a waste of his talent. He should be on the other wing. So missing those two, or not missing, having those two play not in their best positions. So not only are you having to cover for injured players, but even your better players you're having to put into less effective positions than they would normally, just because there's just no cover left to go in there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for Tano Umaga. I think there's no lack of trying from him or James Parsons or many of the lads. To be honest, there's certainly no lack of trying. I'm actually wanting to see the Blues win and get some results. Obviously, Sonny Bill's creativity in the midfield at 12 is a huge loss. Like, he obviously was second phase plays, offloads, line breaks, and finding his support man. So I think that's one thing that the Blues are missing, and Moala and who's the other one there as well? Nanai. If you had those three, you'd have that more explosive Blues backline game that we can see them play, because they can play. And
they can, and whilst we talk about those are all the players missing, we should really talk about the players that are coming back as well. Which is, we've got Pulu coming back, the captain of the team, to run things from 9. He's a big big person to have back in there, because we're still playing Perifeta at 10, who is still a raw fly half at this level. Kano is coming back into the Lucies, which will help Akiri with that leadership, and take some of the weight off his shoulders, and Tuipulotu back into the lock pairing, into the engine room. And again, that's another big return for them. So the Blues scrum should be a lot better than it has been, and that should hopefully free up the backs a bit more, or give the backs a bit more better ball. The only problem is their best attacking backs won't be in the right place to attack. I'm a Blue supporter. I think a lot of Australian teams have a mental block now over beating New Zealand teams. So I'm going for Blues by 3. What about yourself?
Blues by 5.
Blues by 4. Oh, even more confident than myself. Wow. Okay.
I think they can do it, and I think they've got the potential to do it. I like the Tars. I think they'll play some good rugby on Saturday, and it's good to see them playing at Brookvale Oval, where it's more suburban than the Sydney Football Stadium or Allianz. So, but I think the Blues will just have the firepower in the end to get the result.
So one of the question marks around this, we've seen that ground now has got, I've forgotten what it's, something like the Coliseum Scream or something, because the number of ACL ligament injuries they've had there over the past 2 years. Are you worried about the surface, and perhaps are we going to lose a few players during this game?
Well, Brookvale's a traditional rugby league ground in New South Wales with the NRL. And yes, there has been many surface issues when you watch the odd, dare I say it, watch the odd NRL game from time to time, and it's certainly not the greatest ground in the world, but I think it'll do the job.
So we may have some issues around scrum time, maybe around for players' footing.
Scrum time and midfield running will be very interesting because you run through a few divots in the pitch and those sort of things.
Oh, and if there's divots in the pitch, then that also we can have some interesting bouncing balls as well. So catch the ball on the full is what I'm hearing here. Don't let it hit grass because it could go anywhere, even more so than usual. So yeah, a bit interesting to around the pitch, around the ground for this one, because I say there's a couple of teams not playing their normal grounds. The Chiefs have taken their game to Rotorua as well. So we have a couple of games going out to the provinces or to some of the places to spread the game around a bit, which is good to see. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Hurricanes are up to, because apparently they're having, this is their retro game. So I'm not sure if we'll see some interesting jerseys there. And talking of jerseys, the Waratahs play in blue and the Blues play in, well, funny enough, blue. So we could be ending up for a typical Super Rugby jersey clash in this one as well.
Well, I hope it's not like the Stormers in the Blues game earlier this year where you couldn't tell the difference between the sides. That was just crazy stuff.
Oh, there's been some diabolical ones over the past couple of seasons. My favourite one last season was actually the Hurricanes and the New Zealand refs, because the New Zealand refs were wearing yellow, all yellow, and the Hurricanes were wearing yellow shirts and black shorts, and it looked like they had 60 men on the pitch. But there we go. That's obviously just looked like from a jersey point of view, not from the decisions. I'm not trying to suggest that there was anything untoward happening.
No, there wasn't anything untoward.
But yes, the colour of the jersey didn't help there with that one. Cool. Shane, why don't you let people know where they can get hold of you to chat rugby during the week? And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Paul. I'm at Schoolermate, SCOOLM8 on Twitter. Come talk rugby.
And of course, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your favourite best place for predictions and rugby opinion. So give us, fill in the chat down below, always up for good old rugby chat. And the big thing we're trying to do is increase the audience. So please do click on subscribe, or my face there on the recording, or the red box down there, the old traditional way. And do tell all your mates to get onto the channel, subscribe, or check out the pinned comment that will have a link to the newsletter as well. So thanks a lot, guys, and enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend.